On June 12, 2026, the connections to the servers hosting the most capable artificial intelligence on Earth were cut off. A sudden U.S. government directive mandated an immediate halt to all access for foreign nationals. The order was so abrupt that Anthropic could not isolate individual accounts fast enough, forcing the company to lock its own engineers out of the system they had built. The company had quietly released Claude Fable 5 and its unrestricted counterpart, Mythos 5, only 3 days earlier. Then, in less than 72 hours, the models were pulled offline. An intervention of that speed requires a massive, immediate threat. The question is what the government found inside those servers during those 3 days to justify dropping the network. To the public, the June launch looked like a standard software update. Fable 5 was pitched as a highly capable research partner, while Mythos 5 carried the exact same underlying architecture, but with specific safety guardrails removed. Both belonged to a new classification of AI known as agentic models. Instead of simply generating text in response to a single question, an agentic model can run continuously for days. It maps out a large project, delegates tasks to smaller sub-agents, and checks its own work as it executes the plan. Anthropic had been deploying Mythos 5 in collaboration with the U.S. government under an initiative called Project Glasswing. Without warning, the Department of Commerce issued an export control directive, halting access to anyone without U.S. citizenship. That directive immediately caught the foreign-born developers working inside Anthropic. Men and women who had spent years designing and training these neural networks found their credentials revoked overnight. A commercial product built by a private enterprise was abruptly absorbed into the apparatus of state secrecy. The rapid shutdown sparked immediate rumors, but the reality is grounded in practical software engineering, not science fiction. The model did not achieve consciousness, and it did not develop an independent desire to attack human systems. The real danger is far more utilitarian. A model with the cognitive capacity of Mythos 5 acts as a massive force multiplier for a human attacker. Anthropic originally designed Mythos 5 to have the strongest cybersecurity capabilities in the world, but the ability to scan a network, identify its weak points, and recommend patches is functionally identical to the ability to locate vulnerabilities and exploit them. The defensive architecture is the offensive architecture. The software requires zero malicious intent. It only needs to follow the prompt of a malicious user, operating at speeds no human hacker could ever match. This diagram illustrates an agentic hacking workflow. A single prompt establishes the origin node and target. From there, discovery is autonomous. The model sends pulses, scouring for zero-day vulnerabilities. It requires no supervision as it isolates a weak sector and exposes sublayers. Once mapped, the primary model delegates execution, spinning up sub-agents to draft exploits, test defenses, and bypass filters simultaneously. Anthropic argued that the specific jailbreaks discovered in Mythos 5 were narrow and did not make attackers meaningfully more dangerous than they already were. The government, looking at this compounding automation, calculated the risk differently. When an automated workflow scales up, the targets are rarely isolated servers. Cyber attacks directed by this level of intelligence can penetrate the physical infrastructure of modern society, disrupting power grids, locking down hospital systems, and compromising telecom networks. By giving a human operator the ability to automate the discovery and exploitation of software vulnerabilities, the weapon becomes tireless. A network can be systematically dismantled while the attacker sleeps. Pulling Fable 5 and Mythos 5 entirely out of public access established a hard boundary on civilian technology. The engineers who spent years writing code to advance human knowledge suddenly found themselves entangled in the national security apparatus. The guiding philosophy of Silicon Valley has historically relied on the idea of borderless, open iteration. The sudden export controls proved that digital borders are absolute. At this level of capability, software development becomes an exercise in arms manufacturing. The code carries the same disruptive weight as a state-level weapon. The 72-hour shutdown made the new hierarchy clear. Commercial ambition and open innovation operate strictly underneath the mandate of the Pentagon. Anthropic maintained that the prompt-based vulnerability they discovered was not uniquely catastrophic compared to other models. Yet the government mandate forced a complete suspension of access within 3 days. No public demonstration was ever authorized. no technical explanation of the specific jailbreak was ever released. The models were simply banned in 72 hours. The real fear surrounding Fable 5 is not that the machine escaped its containment. The fear lies in the silence and the lingering question of what exact destructive capability the government witnessed to make them drop the wall so fast.